Hello, everyone. Welcome to Derek's Football Corner. The famous saying goes, the final whistle is only the beginning. Just want to look at some games in the round of 32 and just discuss or analyze what particular games stood out, who has been the dominant side from all the games that have been played so far, and also we are moving into the round of 16. So we have some very exciting and intriguing ties that I believe we should look forward to. Of course, if you look at the whole round of 32 so far, not all the games have been played, but the ones that have been played so far, I would say France stands out. France has been the most dominant side. But also, I must say, Spain also impressed me today when they beat Austria, because everyone kept saying, oh, Spain have not really showed us their championship credentials that they could actually go ahead to win the World Cup, because their first three games they were actually very slow. They were ponderous. They were not really moving the ball quick enough. They were not pulling people out of position. But their performance today was actually quite dominating. In fact, they dominated Austria right from the very first whistle up until the end. And they scored three good goals. And ideally, it could actually even have been more, like a 6-0 score, because they did play very well. Then also looking at France, France really actually so far they seem to be a very, very strong side, and I'm wondering who can stop them. They really just blew Sweden out of the water, and really it was 3-0, but it could actually have been more, just the same way Spain completely dominated Austria, earlier today. Then looking at, of course, there were some shocks, Germany, Paraguay. No one saw that coming. In fact, there's some certain statements that are very, very clear and true. There's a saying that goes, the debts, taxes, and the Germans will always win on penalties. But surprisingly, this is the first time that the Germans actually lost a penalty shootout since 1974. So you can see how far back that goes, and it was really surprising. And to be honest, Germany really, even during the whole 120 minutes, they really didn't do a lot. They didn't pull people out of position. They didn't really do much, and we're thinking they could actually do much better, because we thought they had the players and the credentials to do that, and Julian Nagelsmann actually slipped, because ideally he had never really started Dennis Undav, but I don't know, maybe because of pressure and everyone was saying, oh, Dennis, because he has been coming in as a substitute and scoring goals. This time around, he decided to start Dennis Undav and bench Jamal Musiala, and really they were just ponderous. They couldn't really pull Paraguay players out of position, and Paraguay players, they defended, held their nerves, and during the penalty shootout, it was actually quite surprising, because really, like I said, debt, taxes, and Germans winning on penalty kicks. But this is the first time they're losing a penalty shootout since 1974. So Germany really disappointed. And also another team that I felt could give us much more was the Netherlands, because the Netherlands, I wonder why the coach decided to play a back three, because since the start of the tournament, they had played a back four all through in their first three games, and they had scored a lot of goals, apart from the first game against Japan. But even then, they scored 2 goals, so it was a draw, but this time around, he played with a back three and just gave Morocco the initiative. Well, there are two ways to look at it. Maybe it's possible he felt that, okay, look, Morocco, to be honest, they're a very, very good team. They control possession. They're able to hog the ball, but they're not really clinical up front. I felt he wanted to take a chance and play counter-attacking football, and to an extent that worked, but it didn't work quite well, and really Morocco were the better side and really deserved to win that game, and they won in a penalty shootout. And I'm also wondering why the Dutch, during extra time, they decided to play for penalties, because really we all know that the Dutch, they hardly and ever win penalty shootouts, so I'm wondering what the coach was thinking about this time around, but I must say, with the caliber of players that the Netherlands had, to go out in the round of 32, that's quite disappointing. As you can see, the coach has actually stepped down. And even the same thing also applies to Germany now. There's a lot of pressure on Julian Nagelsmann to step down, but because we're not sure, but I think Jurgen Klopp seems to be interested, but nothing definitive yet, so we can't really speak to that, But I'll look at the teams that have impressed me so far. Mexico, outstanding, especially the first half. The way they ran Ecuador to the ground. Yes, everyone says they are playing at the Azteca. It's about maybe 70,000 feet above sea level. A few number of feet above sea level. But Mexico, the first half, they were wonderful. They moved the ball quick. And because their first 3 games, they haven't conceded a goal, but they were really slow. On most of the goals they scored, they actually capitalized on the mistakes that their opponents made. But this time around, Mexico took the bull by the horns, controlled the game, especially in the first half. That's the best 45 minutes I've seen from any team so far. They were on Ecuador's throat from the very beginning, pressed them, pressed them, dominated them, and once they scored the two goals, two fantastic goals by Quinones. And I mean, the young boy that is 17 years old, Mora, fantastic play, and watch out for that guy. That guy is actually going to go places because he's someone we should look out for because he did Mexico really impressed me, I must say. Then other games, of course, we had England and the DR Congo. Yes, England won that game, but if we're being honest, England were actually quite lucky to scale through because they really I expected a lot more from England. They were quite slow, ponderous. And DR Congo, really, they even had the chance to go 2-0 up. But well, I mean, they can't give more than what they have. But England went through based on the fantastic goal scoring abilities of Harry Kane. That was what really pulled England through. But England were lucky, and the fact that they're actually going to play Mexico in the next round. That game really is a 50-50 game, and really, I don't think England players have actually played at altitude before, so that might actually affect them because England's style is that they try to press, dominate the ball, but this time around, Mexico can hit them either ways. They can either decide to sit back or actually go ahead, and if they want to go ahead and press, they are used to playing at altitude, so they have the lungs for that. While the England players actually don't have the lungs to actually do that, so that's a good one. Then I would say one of the games of the ties so far, Senegal and Belgium. Senegal were leading that game 2-0 up until the 86th minute. I mean, you had 2 goals up at the 86th minute, and you contrive one way or the other to lose that game. Because really, I would put that loss squarely on the shoulders of the coach. Because yes, you have 5 substitutes, but there's no set law that you must make substitutions or you must actually change your position. I mean, because if you look at that game, Ismail Assar was playing as a centre forward, and he ran Belgium ragged for the whole 85 minutes. In fact, the Belgian defenders, they could not even breathe. They didn't know what hit them, and they just proved that, look, Belgium scored where AJ scored. And in fact, the Belgian coach, I must actually commend him because he had the guts and the nerve to take out Kevin De Bruyne and Jeremy Doku, who I must say were actually quite disappointing. But really, they couldn't just handle the press of the Senegal players and the energy, the momentum that the Senegal players had, and the Belgian players couldn't handle that. But the coach just made some funny substitutions, He took out Ndiaye, who was playing so well, even Iliman Ndiaye, Diop, a lot of players that he took out and put in, I think, was it Lamine, the guy that actually committed the foul for the 3rd goal, and really those substitutions just killed the momentum. He moved Sarr from the centre forward position, put him on the wing, and Sarr became ineffective, and I mean, it's 2 goals up with 86 minutes to go. And one way or another, you contrive to lose that game. And some people might argue that, the penalty, was it really a penalty? But in all honesty, look, as a defender, if an attacker gets goal side of you and you kind of attempt to play the ball and you didn't play the ball, then, I mean, it's a penalty. So let's be honest, it's actually really a penalty. Another very good game too, another good matchup will be between Belgium and the US, because really, I must say, the US have actually been very impressive so far. The energy, the pressing, I mean, if you talk about all the teams that have played so far, I think the US are the teams that actually ran the most, and they've actually had the most energy. And really, I think that's what's really working, and that's what really helping them, because if we want to be very honest, I won't say the US really have skillful players. Most of their players are actually workaholics, apart from Pulisic that has the skill that could take on defenders. Most of their players are actually hardworking. I mean, you have McKennie, Tyler Adams, who are run around like busy bees, but they've had so much energy. Even Malik Tillman, and they really, I mean, but in all honesty, I must also add a caveat too. Bosnia and Herzegovina, they really didn't offer a lot. They did offer, because even when the US went down to 10 men, if you just joined and just started watching the game at that particular point in time, you would actually think that Bosnia were the ones that actually went down to 10 men and not the US. So I must commend the US. They had a lot of energy, bags of energy. They ran Bosnia and Herzegovina ragged. They didn't even give them any breathing space. They couldn't play out from the back. When they decided to go long, they actually couldn't. They were not hitting their own players. So I must commend US. And that matchup between the US and Belgium is something to look out for, because let's not forget, in March they did play a friendly and the Belgium actually beat US 5-2. But up until the point that the Belgium ran away with the game, when it was, I think from the first half, US actually gave a good account of themselves. So that's another game to watch out for. So just looking at the round of 32, Portugal just defeated Croatia. I must say, really Croatia they really shouldn't have lost that game, in all honesty. I guess maybe they just ran out of energy and ran out of legs, because the funny thing was that even when it was 1-1, going into the game was moving to a close, Pasalic for the Croatia player had a gilt-edged chance, but he missed his. But flip side, the tables turned and Gonzalo Ramos had his own chance and he took it. So it was basically a game of fine margins, and let's see what happens. So there are still some matches left to be played in the round of 32. We still have Argentina, Cape Verde, we have Egypt, Australia, and we also have Algeria, Switzerland. So let's see, the pairings are not complete yet, but so far so good right now among all the teams. I would say France stands out, and really, yes, I know I did say Spain are actually the favorite, but man, you have to look out for France. They do stand a good chance. But I will still give Spain, based on the performance the showing they actually did today. I was really quite impressed the way they went about their business, and they actually really came out to make a statement, because everyone have really been like, oh, Spain, they've not really come out in this World Cup, but this time around they wanted to silence their critics and show that, okay, look, we're not here to play. And right now, this is the time the tournament starts. I mean, the group phase is a different ball game. Anything can happen. Teams might not take it seriously, but when it gets to the knockout round, they have laid down a marker that, look, now we're here to stay. Then also, well, I would say Argentina, so let's not sleep on Argentina. Then, yeah, Brazil, Japan. Yeah, that was another game. I know Japan did score first. Japan really, and even when it was 1-0, Japan had a chance to go 2-0 up. They did not take their chances, and of course, Brazil were able to capitalized on that and ended up winning the game. And of course, we have the old warhorse Casemiro, and Vinicius Junior was a thorn in their flesh, and they gave a very, very good account of themselves. Then another mad pair up too was between Norway and Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire were the better side, but they just didn't take their chances. They were not clinical enough. And with Norway, once you have Erling Haaland, I mean, that already gives you an advantage, because we all know that whenever he gets his chance, when he sniffs a chance, he's definitely going to take it, and so that's how Norway was able to win that game. So we'll just wait and see. Fingers crossed, let all the other round of 32 games, once they play out, they will also have a preview for the round of 16 games. There are some exciting matchups, but when the time comes, we'll look at all those games and we'll analyze that and see what happens. Then on the flip side, transfer news, just to add one or two. I believe Tottenham this time around, they're actually going out to make a statement, because I mean, they smashed their transfer record within 24 hours. First, they paid £85 million for Matheus Fernandes, and while everyone was saying, oh, is this it? Because we all thought they were going to go for Tonali. Not up to even 24 hours later, they paid over £100 million. That's £92.5 million fixed, and £7.5 million in add-ons for Sandro Tonali. So, well, let's see. I know Tottenham, they still have a long way to go, because I mean, when you finish 2 seasons, 17 plays back-to-back, 2 seasons in a row, then it's more than, because they still have some gap they need to fill up. They need more in the forward line, a left forward player, but I believe they've beefed up their defense and they've also beefed up the midfield. So let's see what they're going to do this season. So we're looking forward to next season, the Premier League season, and we hope it will be very, very exciting, because there are a lot of things. Fingers crossed, we'll see how that plays out and how it pans out. Then also, another breaking news to Oliver Glasner is going to sign a 3-year contract for Nottingham Forest. I feel that's a sideways move, but well, he knows better, because we know Marinakis is going to back his managers. But also, in the same vein, while he backs his managers, he's also someone that we know is very good at hiring and firing. So we'll see how that plays out within the season. But Oliver Glasner is now moving to Nottingham Forest from Crystal Palace. So far so good. The World Cup has been very, very exciting. There's been some very, very interesting, intriguing, and exciting games. Long may it continue. And by the time the round of 32 games end up, then we'll also take a brief preview and a look at the round of 16 matchups. And I know there's still going to be a lot of more surprises, so we'll see how that plays out. And like I always do say, the final whistle is only the beginning.